Hey, welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. We are live. Today, XRP judge sides with Ripple, orders SEC on Hinman documents. What is that all about? And big flare news, flare timing, Spark token, a lot of stuff going on in this space. XRP blasting up over 50 cents. Man, it is exciting times. You ready to kick this thing off?
And more amicus briefs.
More amicus briefs.
It's getting amazing, Jeff. Ready? Let's go.
It is. Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Chain on the chain. Chain on the chain. Chain on the chain. It's good to see everybody in here, guys. You know what to do. Go ahead and drop the city and the country you're coming in from. And if you're on the rewatch, drop your city and country you're coming in from. We read everything. We look at everything. So it's really important.
We have, Chip, we have everybody from New Zealand to Brazil and everywhere in between.
It's good. It's a fantastic representation.
It is perfect. And Thomas Jefferson is in the front of the class.
Sitting in the front of the class for this one. Good. We may call on you. You know, the person that sits in the front of the class always gets called on at some point.
Good morning. It's as dark as 5 a.m.
It's amazing somebody get up at 5 a.m. I was up at 5 a.m. myself today, so there you go. I do wake up sometimes at 5 a.m. But it is getting very interesting, Jeff, to say what a great week it's been.
It has been a great week, and we got Matt Anthony tuning in from Clearwater. Hopefully,
nice. Yeah, I hope everything's cool there.
They were spared a little bit in Clearwater. They didn't get as much flooding as, unfortunately, the lower part of the state.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to everybody that reached out to Jeff and I. We are on South Florida, but we are on the East Coast. So aside from really 24 hours of rain and some winds here and there for us, I mean, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And it, before the storm actually the hurricane came aground and wiped out Fort Myers, Naples, and it's horrific what happened. So, I mean, the cleanup's going to be immense, and
it's insane. Chip, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he told me that looking out his window is still flooded, and he was somewhere in that Fort Myers-ish area.
Yeah,
and cut off. And my phone call was the first call he had in 3 days.
Wow. And I have there's a friend in the XRP community too that haven't heard from him in 3 days. Been texting him, haven't heard from him, and he was last time I heard was 2 o'clock the day the storm was kind of going to come around. So it's horrible. It's horrible, and it's like, if you've never been through a hurricane, Jeff and I certainly have weathered a bunch of them, but this one was insane. It was the 4th largest hurricane to ever hit Florida. Category 4, just shy of a Category 5. But speaking of Category 5, there's a lot of Category 5 going on right now with regard to the full force winds that are hammering the SEC.
The SEC is getting hammered, clobbered. I like that. It is a Category 5. It's getting ready to go up to a Category 6, Chip. I think they were unprepared for the full brunt of what's coming.
Oh, they absolutely were. And, I think there's so much to kind of get started on here. But this one, for some reason, I think we should start with this one. And John Deaton has been just having quite the week. And it looks like John Deaton will be back on the chain very soon, working on trying to confirm a date at this point. But
Johnny D.
I think, Jeff, he's up to like 5 appearances now. So if it's 5, you know what happens with 5 appearances? You get the hoodie, you get the OTC hoodie, man. We're
gonna send him the OTC hoodie. That would be awesome if he's on number 5. He's doing a great job, Chip.
We have to ask Hans Loaded, our producer, to see if he can do some research on that, or you guys can go back through our stuff. We don't even know. We don't mark it down. Go ahead, Jeff.
A big shout out to Robert from Hamilton. What is up, Robert? Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the support. That's awesome. All the way from our northern neighbor up in Canada.
Yeah, great. I talk the story all the time where my family from Hungary immigrated into Canada, and just my grandfather came down to the States. Otherwise, everybody else remained in Canada.
Yeah,
a frog in my throat here.
It's great. I've been through Hamilton. Right. It's a nice place.
Buenos Aires. There you go, man. Yeah,
there we go. Let's get into some SEC.
Rob Licker is joining us too.
News.
Yeah, and All right, let's go into some stuff, Jeff. Let me throw this up here. Let me just throw.
SEC v.
I thought
Ripple.
this would be a great one to kind of start things off today. But let's look at this here. We got so Moon Lambo, Matt over at the Moon Lambo channel talked about this I-Remit Galaxy settlement dinner.
Except it won't be a settlement.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a settlement. So get off that settlement
Well-
train. But
Well, we might get a decision, but we won't get a settlement.
yeah, let's not even open that wound again. My guys, I've been
Therefore-
battling everybody on Twitter. Jungle Link and I had a nice
Therefore-
back and forth about that.
Therefore, we'll take the filet medium rare.
There you go. And I'm going to go back into meat, Jeff, just for this special occasion. I'm going head first in the meat. I'm going to enjoy it. Pile on, everyone. Pile on. You know, I-Remit, who is a Ripple partner, and this is what we've seen, a couple new amicus briefs. We had the Digital Chamber of Commerce, and there was no objection in the Digital Chamber of Commerce amicus brief because it didn't really side with anybody. It was just kind of generic. So, of course, the SEC didn't object to it. But here we have I-Remit, who's a Ripple partner, and they recently expanded their use of on-demand liquidity, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. And they're also, boom, they're present in the lawsuit. And Matt says there's no way the SEC anticipated this much pushback before suing Ripple and attacking XRP holders. But this community does not lay down. It does not roll over. It fights, okay? You mess with the wrong people. There's a couple people in the world you don't mess with, Jeff, and I can count them on 3 fingers and a thumb, 2 fingers and a thumb. Farmers, truckers, and the XRP community. That's pretty much it, man. We do not roll over. John Deaton said, you know, Matt makes the point that no way did the SEC fully anticipate the level of pushback it would get by filing against Ripple and XRP holders. But the absolute truth is they didn't anticipate or consider any pushback at all because the lawsuit itself was the weapon. And this is one of my favorite tweets of John Deaton in a long time. It has to go into the On the Chain Hall of Fame tweet section. The lawsuit is the security. An investment, time and money, into a common enterprise, a founder and investors working with a regulator with an expectation of profit, delay in suppressing growth equals time equals profits, relying on the efforts of others, the SEC enforcement lawyers dragging it out. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
That's exactly right. I mean, right from day one, you know, I think the SEC is dragging it out. It's an interesting situation that we're finding ourselves in right now also, you know. So is the lawsuit, you know, the security, what is going on with the SEC? How, you know, so here's the big question, and I think, you know, you might even bring it up later in one of your tweets, but, you know, imagine if Ripple or a private citizen, let's call it the private company in this case, you know, or Garland House, they would have said to the court, we're not going to present the documents. We're just not going to do it, you know? And so here we have the SEC is doing exactly that. Everything they do is a delay tactic, but at the same time, you know, they've undermined the court multiple times throughout this whole process. And man, it's been kind of a crazy outcome to watch, you know, to get to the point now where the judges are siding and saying, you know what, SEC, you have to deliver the documents. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who's an attorney, and I was asking him, and I said, you know, in this situation, you know, how is it that the SEC attorneys can keep getting away with it? But he said that the judge can actually censure the attorney themselves, and they can face punitive fines. So if the attorney keeps undermining the court, or, you know, not listening to the court, then they personally can be fined. Now, in this situation, I don't know that we've seen, you know, anything like that happen yet. But man, it just seems like everything that the SEC has done to date from the moment of filing has been nothing but a delay.
Yeah, it's incredible. Look at Chris Peel says that he's hello from him and his daughter Pixie. They're playing Silly Scribbler and listening to OTC. Hey,
Nice.
two of the best things going on. A little bit something for Dad and a little bit something for Pixie. So that's perfect. And there's so much stuff to go through. It's kind of,
But I just want to, you know, you probably have this one pulled up, but I think,
ahead,
you
throw
know,
it
the
up there.
timing. So we're talking about, so I-Remit, you know, they want to file, they want to get involved, you know, they're pissed, you know, everyone's pissed, you know, at how the SEC has really undermined the marketplace. and the things that they've said about XRP, without, with the lack of utility, et cetera, et cetera. But, here's another one from John Deaton, TapJets. So here's another one, an example demonstrating that XRP and crypto are here to stay. XRP allows to pay for instant travel. Think Uber for private jets. It also validates Ripple's business model. TapJet is disrupting the private air industry like Ripple is doing to the banking industry. And James Filan was saying, TapJet's a private jet charter company requests to file an amicus brief in support of Ripple. TapJets accepts XRP in exchange for its services. For TapJets, the acceptance of XRP as payment for services is vital. So here we are, Chip, another company that has been undermined by the SEC action.
Well, and yeah, spot on. And here's another tweet on that same thread you just read, which is large private jet companies require their customers to deposit large sums of money into a jet card account, just like a bank uses Nostro and Vostro accounts. The use of XRP eliminates the pre-funding, freeing up that money for use elsewhere. XRP and crypto here to stay. So it's really demonstrating, what you were talking about, Jeff, is like a really solid use case. And the use case has nothing to do really outside of, this is what their business model is based on. Their business model is based on the use of XRP, but it has nothing to do with Ripple, right? So that they're like, its use case here is a currency. Just
exactly. And easy streamlining of payments, from their customer base. And this is really great. If we're looking and people say, well, there's no real use case, and, what are people actually doing in the space? You start looking at what a company, can do that is, completely unique, and utilize the crypto space from a payment perspective. I think, we're really seeing, some big changes here in the marketplace. So I'm glad that we're seeing I-Remit step up to the table. I'm glad that we're seeing TapJets step up to the table. I think we're in it. We've sat here we're in it to win it. That's exactly what. So that's what I was gonna. But we've been in this now for what, 2 years? So 2 years in, and the companies are coming to the forefront. The ones that have been undermined. I like this. I really do like the outcome here. And they're putting the pressure on the SEC at this point. And it's going to be interesting going into the next couple months.
Yeah. And what else is interesting too is the judge in the LBRY case, it's been delayed. And so we have John Deaton weighing in on that a little bit later too. But it's interesting to see where these are big cases. Like there's a lot of ramifications of what happens here. I want to throw this up because WrathofKahneman also weighed in on it. He says, wow, this I-Remit brief is good stuff. They make clear there's no expectations of profit from the Ripple agreement, that XRP price is irrelevant to their use, and they have no time for the SEC's arguments. And the other point they make in there is that their business will be irrecoverably, what's the word, Jeff? Irrecoverably will be harmed. I can't even say the word, Jeff, but what the heck's the name of the word? But anyway, their business will be damaged. And you can't say it either because I don't see you.
I'm not even going to try to say.
I don't even see you. Irrecoverably. People are going to.
Oh, you've ruined it. You've ruined it now.
Destroyed it. You're like, how is that
the rest of the word? Irrevocably? No, that's
irrevocably. Yeah, what's the word? I don't know, man. But anyway, bottom line is that they talk about their business being damaged, like, and hurt, and so then this is more fallout from what the SEC and their system of enforcement, which is just absolutely just silliness and ridiculous. So,
yes, Segfredo.
Segafredo, yes.
Segafredo. You got to have the Segafredo.
Guess what I'm drinking today, Jeff? I don't deviate too much. So.
Water, tea.
Mm-hmm. I'm drinking coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, Pilon. I'm drinking some Pilon.
Oh, nice.
Always with a little bit of the Cuban coffee. Yeah, some Pilon.
The Cuban coffee. Now, if anyone out there, you get the Segfredo. We need to go back. We had set up an account one time, but I want to reach out to those guys at Segfredo and see if we can get a way to have people order it and bring some revenue into on the chain through Segfredo. This Segfredo is probably one of the best coffees, but you got to get the right one. So if you go onto their website, you can order it in the US now at segfredocoffee.com. And you can order it by I think a 2-pound bag. It's about $30, $35, something like that. But the thing is, there's different versions of it. So you got to get the red bag. So it's not in the little tiny bags, it's in a big red bag, and it's the espresso whole bean. Make sure you get the whole bean, and then get the extra strong.
Boom.
Not the green bag that's mild. You got to
There's
get
the word,
extra
Jeff.
strong.
There's the word. You want to take a you want to take a shot at it?
Irrevocably.
Irrevocably. That's what it is. I was irrevocably. There it is. Thank you, L. Johnson, for that. You can always count on the. You can always like turning it off. So here's another one from John Deaton where he says, I filed a suit on behalf of the XRP holders as well. He was basically talking about this one here. Actually, let me pull up this tweet here. Let me pull this guy up here. Let's hit this one first. But this one is from James at T Crypto Law. Taylor-Copeland Law files a suit against Ripple on behalf of XRP investors. Read the full complaint here. What's so funny going on there? Okay.
Well, so this is the case from 2018, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is 2018. Right.
But John Deaton brought this case up again, because of the insanity of it.
Right. So that was the one for the $100, right? Or
they
price
lost.
Went up.
Right, and they held it for like 2 weeks, and they bought it for X, and they said they lost $600 because the price changed. But Deaton had a really spot on comment, over this. So yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah, he said he filed a lawsuit on behalf of the XRP holders. I have 74,000 in my class. In his class, stating that XRP is not a security. The majority of the first-time purchasers of XRP weren't even aware of the company Ripple. I'm curious as to how many XRP holders you have identified that agree with your claim. So it's 4 years later.
He's going back and attacking, right, all those years later, but then he had a follow-up to that.
Take that one, Jeff.
So his follow-up is, why does he want to know about it, 4 years later? Because the guy who bought 650 XRP on January 5th, 2018 for $2.60 sold them less than 2 weeks later, right? He sold the $649.98 on January 18th for $1.70 for a loss of $585. So he loses money. He said, those are the facts. They claim, now this is the crazy, they claim that he relied on Ripple and expected profit, so he sued. But he was relying on Ripple and expecting profit in 2 weeks. So he wanted somehow there would be some action. So this is the insanity of that case. The case was filed on May 3rd, right in the middle of all the meetings taking place between Hinman and others, and was filed less than 6 weeks before the speech. Now, John Deaton is saying, all I'm doing is acknowledging that it is a fact to add to the overall timeline. It may be 100% coincidental. So they have all the conversation, the dialogue, all these things are going on back at that period of time. And then all of a sudden this lawsuit comes out. And so you do wonder, because the lawsuit, it seems so frivolous, right? And it just seems like it's a complete waste of time. It has no merit. And how do you have an expectation of profit over a period of 2 weeks if you want a company? You're never going to get a return in 2 weeks unless they came to you and they said, if you buy our whatever, we promise that you're going to get 100% return in 2 weeks. And that was definitely not the case. So
and this is the best part. He talks about those 2 weeks being for a $600 loss. He goes, if that's true, you're a moron because you didn't give them enough time to allow their efforts to pay off. If indeed that's your argument, if you're relying on Ripple's promises of marketing, you would not have sold in less than 2 weeks.
Right.
Claims fall in their face. We know what it is. And
it's
Jeff,
so
is there
silly,
something else? Isn't there some other weird thing about the attorney that actually filed this in some weird ways, somehow connected? There's another weird connection here too. I don't know. There's some other, sometimes when things are so bizarre, you just go like, okay, on its face, that's not what's behind this. So you file that away so later you can bring it up and talk about, well, here you go here. You had somebody come out. And funny enough, that hasn't been brought up because it is utterly, pathetically ridiculous.
Yeah,
how about this one, Jeff?
Kind of crazy.
Views on Bruce says, hey, gents, what annoys me is Congress isn't acting fast enough to change the laws and force the SEC to drop the case. I know it's not that simple, but Gary has undermined Congress. No, I don't see it that way. I mean, he's not undermined Congress. He's taken advantage of very loose language even going back to the Howey test, it doesn't. He only talks about the one prong. There's 4 prongs of the Howey test. They all have to be working in order for there to be a security. And look, Congress will do something at some point. And you know what? Suppose the new Congress comes in, as we think is going to happen, and it comes in January, and they pass it at the end of January, and before this case finalizes, and then now you've got some new rules of the road, and that's how it is. But Congress the problem with Congress is, and it's funny hearing Congress members complain about this. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe what happened in the EPA case. I can't believe what happened in this case." Well, I can believe it because you guys wrote the law so open to interpretation and so loose that you can't be actually tied back to who actually drafted it or the team that passed it. So they write them very loose. So there's a reason behind it. And the fact is, it's 2022, Jeff. We have nothing on crypto legislation.
It's crazy. So Token Taxonomy Act introduced back in 2018. So for the first time, so we're 4 years in. Token Taxonomy Act gets no traction. But here's the thing: it's in each situation. Now, number one, to comment on Congress moving slowly. Our laws were written in the U.S. To move things slowly. And that's just in order to get bills passed, it's a very arduous, lengthy process. Because it has to go through Congress, it has to go through the House, it has to go through Senate. It can start in the Senate, it can be sent to the House, but it goes to the House, Senate, and then eventually comes back to the House for final commentary, and eventually it ends up on the president's desk for a signature. That whole process can take time, especially since when bills are introduced, they have to be sent to a committee for discussion. Now, in the crypto scenarios, we've seen a couple that got passed from the House to the Senate. But they're all just kind of really loose, committee type. Oh, well, we're going to investigate and we're going to have committees get together and discuss. So they didn't have any substance to them. The Token Taxonomy Act, on the other hand, Chip, had some substance to it, but it never got anywhere. It went to the Financial Services Committee, sat there, did nothing. They didn't even discuss. It didn't go through any motion. It got to Maxine Waters, and she had her alternate plans of whatever she was going to do, and it had no involvement in crypto legislation whatsoever. So I think that's been a big issue, Chip. And you kind of reference this also, that Gary is not undermining Congress, and I don't think he undermined Congress either. I think that he's acting in a space that there is zero clarity in, and he's trying to take advantage of that space, as you had mentioned. Now, Gary Gensler did reference the fact, he said that if Congress wants to have a specific outcome in crypto, then they need to pass legislation. And Gary Gensler actually said that. He said, if you want it, you guys need to do it. But the thing is, in the absence of it, and he's taken advantage of that absence, he's going to try to do whatever he wants to do, and he's going to overreach and he's going to overstep. And that's what we're seeing, that he has completely overstepped his boundaries, trying to take charge of crypto. And you're right, Chip. The only way it's going to change is through an act of Congress, and it's probably not going to happen until 2023.
Which may be more likely at this point. I mean, it is interesting to see how this all pieces together. But look at here. So one of the big news events of the week, the judge orders the SEC to turn over the Hinman documents over to Ripple Labs after months of dispute. And I wanted to, and Jimmy Filan, who always is the first to, anytime something new hits the docket, he's on top of it. And he tweets it out for all of us to enjoy. Right. And if you guys don't know this, if you want to get these documents, you could do it too, but you basically have to pay for it. Every time you pull a document off the document, it's called PACER. It's an acronym. It basically means you're going to pay a fee to access public documents. And originally, those fees were put in place when the internet was just coming around, and it was who was going to pay for the servers and everything else. But now it's turned into a multi-million-dollar proposition. And again, why are we paying for documents that are? But anyway, that's one of the services he grants there right here. So he put out a tweet thread on this, Jeff. Do you have a comment there?
No, good.
Okay, so you have here. So Jimmy Filan said, So here's some of his thoughts on the next steps of the quest for the Hinman documents. The SEC has a number of procedural cards they can play to try to further delay complying with the order to produce the Hinman documents. And Jeff, I put a tweet out, which I will pull up in a little bit, but I had misstated something, and thankfully somebody in the XRP community corrected me. I said they went against the judge 5 times. It's actually 6. 6 times they have been commanded to turn over these emails. They have not done it. So the SEC has a number of procedural cards, right? So more delays coming. Let's see. So first, they can ask Judge Torres to reconsider her order overruling the SEC objection. How do you think that's going to go over, Jeff?
Not well.
Like a fart in church. So here we go. Second, they could skip the motion for reconsideration and just ask her to certify the appeal of the decision she issued today. How do you think that's going to go over?
That's a good one. They asked her to certify an appeal. I don't think that'll go over well.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to appeal the decision. She's not going to overrule. She's not going to reconsider.
But again, you just keep you delay it, and you're really getting in the good graces of the judge when you keep doing this.
I'm sure she's going to be ecstatic, depending on what their response is going to be. So it will be interesting to see, Chip. Are they going to try to delay further? Are they going to do something, even more tenuous?
Yeah, and also third, they could go into the Court of Appeals directly on a petition for the writ of mandamus. As I mentioned before, these are all low probability of success maneuvers, but at least he's putting them out there. And it's so funny because as he speaks them, it sounds like they're ridiculous. Like, why would you do that? But why would you not release after 6 times the emails? It's incredible. So then we have, but if the SEC wants to delay producing the documents, they may try, or even all of these maneuvers, and that could take an additional 2 to 3 months to work out. None of these attempts at delay, however, will impact the summary judgment schedule, but it does delay, pieces of it.
It just pushes out. So the question then, Chip, is why would they want to push it out? Why would they delay it further? Are they going to delay it further to see if there's going to be some congressional act? To keep pushing it out there, that doesn't make any sense, but they know they're in the wrong, so I guess they're going to just try to keep pushing out the inevitable.
Yeah, I think
Gary's going to wait till he's no longer there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something. So, it's kind of funny that, and this tweet got a little bit of play, but I basically made a comment on this and threw this out there. It was just like, I was like, it was like initial reaction after seeing the whole idea of Judge Torres overruling the SEC's objection that Jimmy Filan put out. And I put this one out that said, hey, just imagine the outrage if a private citizen or Ripple had been instructed 5 times. And again, I was corrected in a comment that it was actually 6 times to turn over the emails. Jeff, how would that have gone if it was you or I? Or let's say Ripple, hey, you need to turn this over. And then 6 times later, they're like, no.
Like, no, sorry. I guess you could keep filing, just like the SEC or what, filing saying that their next steps can be. But in many of those situations, they basically said, no, we're not going to do it.
All right. They're not going to do it. So let's sum it up. Yes, no. The SEC, a government agency that's supposed to, one of their main tenets is, in addition to capital formation, is to protect the investors. Instead, they spent their time defying the judge and protecting themselves, right? By denying the fact they're going to release this. But a new day is coming, Jeff. We've been told that by Tom Emmer.
a new
day is
coming. And it's interesting too. I mean, you brought this up. Their mission statement on the website of the SEC is to protect the retail investor. That's the mission statement. It's not about enforcement. It's not about making sure that they win. And who was it? Was it the judge or someone had some commentary? It probably wasn't the judge, but someone had some commentary on it that the SEC is more concerned with winning than they are with protecting the interest of the retail investors. It might have been a comment on Twitter, but that just seems to be the case here, is that they're so determined to get some sort of a victory. It's kind of a bizarre scenario, right? Because you get it. Attorneys want to win. The SEC shouldn't want to win. They should want to protect the retail investor. That should be their only motivation. Their only motivation is to say, you guys did wrong to the retail investor. We're here to protect the retail investor. Therefore, we want you to, suffer a penalty. But in this scenario, they're saying, screw the retail investor because we're ignoring all of the, petition. But we're going to keep coming after you regardless if we're in the wrong, because we want to get one up, over you. We want to win. We want the victory. Gary Gensler wants to control the crypto space outcome. He wants to make a determination that all Ethereum should be controlled by and fall under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Government or the Fed or whatever his claim is. And he probably wants the same thing with XRP. They're completely, ignoring the fact of what their mission statement is. And even from that perspective, Chip, is it his jurisdiction as the SEC to even make statements? I mean,
of course not.
It's outlandish. Outlandish.
That's why the CFTC never does much, because they're commodities and they regulate commodities. And it's you have the SEC that, look, I mean, I think this was a poorly chosen battle. And again, it wasn't Gensler. It was Jay Clayton that filed it on his way out the door. And as we said, well, maybe it was the fastest way to get to crypto, or maybe it was to expose some of the things going on with the SEC. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of who knows what the real intentions were. It doesn't make a lot of sense now, in retrospect. But I want to put another one of my tweets up here because I had a lot of fun this week. But I want to throw this one up here. So, dear Gary Gensler and the SEC, the more you F around, the more you will find out. And we cannot wait. Sign the XRP community. And there's a little bit of context that goes with this, because you guys have probably all seen this video. Let me go ahead and put this video on, Jeff. Let me play this video. So this is the SEC right here, and this is how they're going to find out right here. So
I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph, and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. Now there's going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
See, Jeff, so he's right. So if they just would have stayed at 0 there, right? They wouldn't have found out, and they wouldn't have effed around, right? So if they didn't have around, they wouldn't have found out. But this is where I bring it back to here. Dear Gary Gensler and the SEC, the more you F around, the more you will find out. And we cannot wait. And they've been doing a lot of that effing around, Jeff. Let's be honest here. They've been doing a lot of the effing around, and they're going to do a lot of finding out. So there you go. That is so it's just going to be
that's brilliant.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah, it's going to be completely awesome. And I love that dude. I mean, that's probably one of the better lessons we could learn from.
That's a great one. Jim D is saying, I can't figure out what's driving Gensler's intensity of contempt for crypto. Is it pure small man Napoleonic ego, or is he under orders and private money kickbacks from somebody? That's a good question. And maybe a combination of both. I don't know.
Well, that's where Jeff, now that Jim D's bringing up a great point. That's where full transparency ought to be. Any person who serves in government, I don't care if it's Congress, I don't care if you work for a government agency, full transparency. So everything you do, any money flowing into your bank accounts, stocks, whatever that looks like, needs to be fully transparent. And so I wonder if somebody's going to do a little digging around what's going on with Gensler and find out what some of his holdings are, find out where it's not kickbacks. I mean, they're a little bit more clever than that, but you're basically on the right path. So if it looks like stock, or it looks like a lot of times what these guys do is they write a book. They write a book that nobody reads, and they got paid $15 or $20 million for a book that nobody. But they don't actually write the book. Nobody actually reads the book. But again, this is how you launder money in a very clean way. What happens is an entity buys those books, and it ends up on the bestseller chart for like 2 weeks. But no people actually read the book, and that's how they flush the money. So somebody else pays out the advance. Another entity buys that, and that's how you eventually kind of launder money, right? So it's a nice gig if you can get it, right? So think about this though, Jeff. that same principle it happens elsewhere too. So somebody started digging to be like, oh, this is all on the up and up. Yeah, except for this is tied back to this, and so is this, and this is that entity. I don't want to be creating accusations, and I'm not saying this is what happens, but let's face it, these people are very clever, and there should be some oversight into that, and definitely transparency. And it would be great to see everything on the blockchain. That way it's public forever and everybody knows about it.
Yep.
But you know how that goes.
Oh, so hey, Chip, so Crypto Hippo saying, drop the link, please. But actually, later after the show, if you go to onthechain.io, you can actually go and see every show that we've done, and you can see all the different articles, links to articles that we've used throughout the show. So if you go to onthechain.io, check that out, and you'll find all the different articles that we've read, referenced. Some we don't even reference on the shows. And so there's a lot of additional article at onthechain.io. Some of them you have to just sign up briefly on the website. And Chip gave it out for free. There you go.
Do it for free, man. Give it for free. Doesn't matter.
I was just going to get you to go to the website. The website's free too.
Yeah, but the website's free too. I just dropped it in there. What the hell? But again, this is for people on the rewatch as well, guys. Go to the onthechain.io, sign up. We don't spam you, but after every show, you get all the articles and things we talk about. So
you can sign up, and you can even support On the Chain over there. You can support On the Chain right here on YouTube with super chats, etc. But XRP Gorilla is saying, since this case was allegedly filed on our behalf, can we file an injunction to prevent them from spending whatever fine is paid until we all are made whole? That's an interesting idea, that file an injunction against the government. I don't know. I don't know, Chip. I think that the government has gone crazy. The SEC has gone off the rails, and obviously they're not defending us here, the investors, the retail investor, and I think that's proof positive. Unfortunately, this is some sort of a political battle, so to speak. And in every war, there's always collateral damage. And unfortunately, in financial battles like this, when for whatever reason, again, the SEC singled out Ripple and XRP and went after. But Chip, I think we can go back to some of the reasons why they may have, in order to control or dictate or determine outcome of the crypto space, they went after the one easy target, only because it's a known entity, right? So Ripple as a known entity, you can go after them, but you can't go after Bitcoin. You can't necessarily go after the Ethereum Foundation, but you can go after Ripple because it's a company, and you can target the CEO, you can target the founders, you can do, it's a very easy target from that perspective. And if they wanted some sort of a political outcome, political clout, control in the space of crypto, whatever their desire might be, and maybe we'll never know. I think it was a slightly easier target. What do you think, Chip?
I don't know. I was looking for something else. I was paying attention there. It was like just kind of.
But the Shermanator and Warren get an F.
They both get an F. But I mean, I think Congress as a whole is just it's turned into an institution and no longer serves the people. The only thing keeping it together is this U.S. Constitution. Everything they're trying to do to defy it, go against the First, Second, the Fourth, the Fifth Amendment. It's gotten absolutely silly. And thankfully, the founders and framers of this country were thinking like, hey, let's think of all the ways this could go off the rails. Not 50 years from now, but 100 and 200 years later. And yeah, that's pretty much what's happened. And there's all kinds of things that have become law that Congress has passed that is unconstitutional. Patriot Act comes to mind. There's just an absolute ton of things that were passed in the interest of safety or health or whatever it may be. But again, none of this stuff suspends the actual Constitution. So, Bitcoin maxis, Jeff. Bitcoin maxis forever, always doing their thing. John Deaton brought the severe smackdown mic drop on none other than Max Keiser, who is one of the most prominent and most well-known Bitcoin maxis to this date. And he never came around. He's just Bitcoin. Okay, that's great. You love it, but his position is messed up. And I'll put this one up here. Look at this one here. So here we have Max Keiser said, the SEC is right to shut down everything, but not Bitcoin as an unregistered security. You're defending a criminal racket. If you're defending XRP Ripple, shame Twitter. So, and he was commenting on, this is funny because he was commenting on this tweet here. This is Eleanor Terrett. She said the SEC continues to deliberately foster uncertainty rather than provide clear guidance, which is why we vigorously defending this case on behalf of the entire crypto community. And that is a direct quote from none other than Stuart Alderoty. And he also said, we're pleased by the sixth and hopefully final decision from the court to produce these documents, which grants Ripple access to important documents. And that's where said the SEC continues to deliberately foster this uncertainty, right? So John Deaton says, don't you just love when a so-called libertarian calls on a government agency to shut down everything except the enterprise or network of his choice? It's sort of like an oxymoron with an emphasis on moron.
Moron.
Mic drop. Ring. That was phenomenal. And, and it's so funny because I saw John Deaton is your hero. Yeah, he is your hero. And I saw Alchemist say something else that I wanted to comment on. I said, oh gosh, we have too much stuff to get into here. And so there you go. So don't you love it? Here's somebody, a libertarian, which a libertarian's belief would be counter to this, except shut it down, shut it down. This is someone instructing it. So he goes, I was just thinking of Max Keiser's tweet with LBRY.com because the summary judgment ruling could come down today or Monday. Of course, it hasn't yet, but LBRY offers an alternative to YouTube, a platform for freedom. No wild speculation for price appreciation with LBC. Users use LBC, but Max wants them gone. Jeff, your thoughts on this?
Well, what's amazing about LBRY is that all of our videos that are uploaded to YouTube, so like right now after this renders and goes to the rewatch, it's automatically available over on the LBRY platform, which I think has a new name. But
it's Odyssey.
But that's what was amazing about what LBRY was doing over there. And we've engaged a little bit, on that platform, not as much, but it's an amazing, idea to be able to do that. The fact that, they've gone after and targeted LBRY, so viciously is pretty amazing. Yeah.
There it is. I mean, we only have 867 followers, but we had Jeremy Kaufman on here a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we went over, and every one of our videos is on LBRY. So LBRY is the name of the organization, Odyssey, ODYSEE.com, and it's on the chain live. Search for On the Chain Live. But again, you can see it looks very similar to YouTube. There are all of our videos.
It's really amazing. It's
playlist, channels, everything. Everything is up there, and you can also. And I know too, we can log into, and we do earn the LBC token as well. And again, it has nothing to do. Funny thing was, last time I logged in, we had a pretty sizable amount of LBC in there, and we just accumulated as people watch our videos. So they don't get a ton of views, but I get enough. 2 views, 5 views. But again, if you guys want to support freedom, you want to support LBRY and Odyssey, come over to here. This one.
Check it out.
This one I'll drop in there.
I think, Chip, one of the problems with all these other platforms, and the reason why people keep coming back to YouTube is just easy. Everybody knows it on a global scale, whether you're involved in crypto or not. Then there's all these other players that have really tried to compete, and it's an uphill battle, with all of them.
Yeah, but I will say this though: Odyssey has a fantastic app.
They do.
They have a very good app, and so does Rumble. I think they've come a long way, but. Listen, I mean, YouTube's the behemoth.
They're just not there yet. Yeah, that's the problem.
And
they got to spend a
lot. YouTube's the best. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I watch 90% of my content there because
that's it.
It's well built. Easy. YouTube has look, they've been around for over 15 years. They've polished it. They figured it out. They made it super easy to work, and especially doing these live streams. Phenomenal. It's not easy to do a live stream on Rumble.
No,
we never figured out how to do it on LBRY. So, on Odyssey. So,
and we tried on Rumble. It's difficult. We've connected it, and it's amazing to me. So eventually, I think as they grow and they get some foundation. Maybe we'll see some competition to YouTube. Until that time, YouTube is where people gravitate. And so we'll try to push content. That's what's nice about libraries, that our content's there. I like it. Like you said, it's an interesting experience. What was that other one that was built on the XRPL? Kind of came and went.
Cinnamon's still around.
Cinnamon, is it?
Yeah, it's still going.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yeah. We used to have videos over there too. We used to do exclusive content over there. But again, without adoption, it's really a difficult road. Here's another Max Keiser tweet that said, bundling blank check IPOs into an ETF that has zero accurate price discovery proves the SEC decision to axe Bitcoin ETF is 100% political corruption. Siphoning off cash from exchanges, not enough with HFT. Need to take bribes too. Hashtag shameful. Hashtag pigs. Now, here's Johnny Deaton right here. He says, so Max Keiser supports the SEC's unconstitutional expansion of power, asking Gary Gensler to shut down everything except Bitcoin. But look what he said about Gary and the SEC. Max, you know what they say about laying down with shameful pigs. So this is so funny. It's like people always bend their argument. They go against what their true beliefs are to just, Bitcoin. But then he starts yelling at the SEC about the spot ETFs. So it's ridiculous. And here is another beatdown, because I love this. I really have to say, this is fantastic. So this tweet Max Keiser put out, he said, XRP's problems. First one, regardless of SEC, XRP will continue towards zero against Bitcoin. It's basically just centralized garbage. So here's a guy who's supposedly intelligent, does a podcast. I've listened to Max Keiser too. He's actually, sometimes he can be really funny. He's very lively spirit. I don't always agree with everything he says, but look, I mean, even a clock is right, twice a day. A broken clock's right twice a day. The old ones, not the digital ones. And he says the SEC is not the end, but the beginning of XRP's legal problems. Okay, but nothing behind that. And it says Brad will never stop dumping. Brad Garlinghouse will never stop dumping as long as his paid shills keep grooming suckers. So, and this is what's really great about it. He says, John Deaton says, XRP living rent-free in Max's head today, because he had a whole series of tweets about it. So it's so funny. If you don't really care about it, you're not threatened by it, or you're, at least a bit concerned about it, I don't have, who would find the time for it? But no, this is Max Keiser, and he is Bitcoin Maxi. John Deaton went on to say, could it be because of independent companies are filing briefs today? And we saw the I-Remit one. We saw the TapJets one. He said, filing briefs demonstrating the utility of XRP. Is it about XRP or because it's not Bitcoin that's being discussed? Again, another fantastical beatdown.
So Chip, this unfortunately, this is a Cinnamon video, and the XRP content 2 years old.
It's yeah, I mean, it's been a while, right?
Anything on here 11 months ago. It doesn't look like there's much current content, so it might not be.
Well, I mean, that's XRP. It is functional. I know that.
No, this is just the general category.
Yeah, but that means nobody's putting videos up there. We used to put videos up there too.
Yeah,
we did. We put a lot of that up there. So I think it's time for our humor break right here. I think we would take a little bit of a humor break. Well, look, adoption's hard, man. It's like, anytime something new comes along, getting people over to it, and if it's not easy to use, and if the app isn't great, it's not going to happen. It just doesn't matter. So
they had a lot of great ideas too, what they were trying to do, and
do you remember when Brad Garlinghouse said the SEC was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
Mm-hmm.
And that was an old television commercial. Cocoa Puffs is a breakfast cereal here, and if you guys don't know it, I mean, and they used to have a commercial where the character would say, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and the meme guy over here put this one up. He said, "Is this FDA approved?" And now it's here we are right here with the this is the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We have Gary Gensler's face on it, and now with 90% less clarity, get your Hinman email decoder ring prize inside. So you gotta love that. And of course, David Schwartz was up to his I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing this stuff with AI. And he did this one with Vitalik Buterin. He wanted to know which one was the original. And those are just, I think
What is going on?
It's pretty disturbing to see exactly how they somewhat resemble him, but in a weird kind of plasticky way. Then he went on to say, well, maybe one of these, and these get even weirder because you're really starting to lose the Vitalik Buterin. You got the hair kind of there, but these look so bizarre.
Top right, that could kind of be him.
I don't even know if would anybody recognize him from these? I don't think so. I think these are more, even with the weird lipstick, I think these look more, this is evil Vitalik right there.
Is that really him though in the upper left corner? What?
No, these are just AI like interpretations. And so like there's Sam Bankman-Fried. What is it? Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't know. So here's him right here. And it's so funny because these ones actually look more like, hey, this one looks a little more cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that's Sam right there. But they kind of like look like maybe a brother, cousin, or something, maybe in the family. They don't look anything like him,
or if he, does a little bit with his diet and exercise, and he could, that top right picture could be him.
Yeah, they do have the hair. The hair is actually there. And then, of course, maybe Brad Garlinghouse has some long-lost brothers. And these are some weird, like, these are some evil-looking Brad Garlinghouses. This is if Brad Garlinghouse had an evil twin. Kind of looks like him.
But it kind of looks like him, except for that bottom picture where he's all, he's got a frown. But the rest of them kind of, if you saw, this would be, it'd be a lookalike. Brad Garlinghouse.
The one in the left corner, I guess, is the most like him. But yeah, it's kind of odd, Jeff. I mean, a lot of oddities going on. And then, of course, we have, what else can we get into? Cuckoo.
Alchemist like that one. A little diet and exercise.
Jeez, Jeff. I mean, come on, man.
What?
I mean, that was like, you went at it hard, man. You went at it hard.
It's
hard. Okay, so let's go to this one. The Flare token distribute update.
There we go.
There was an update. And Jeff, I don't know what's going on with this blog, but trying to read this on my mobile is ridiculous. It's like, can you make the font any less readable? Like, just put it all in black ink. Okay. I mean, what this by the way, this was a trend like circa early 2000s where everybody would like. So in the internet, when you could actually change the color of a font, you can make it gray. We'll make it gray. What it really does, it makes it unviewable. And so you can see when they actually put it in black, and it's like, well, what's the point? Just make it, somebody go in there and change that.
Rules for fairness. Can you zoom all the way in? Why is it? It's very difficult to see. However,
it's very difficult to see. But
now we have the Flare distribution. That's what we wanted to see.
We're going to go right to Flare.
The Twitter.
Yeah, the Twitter account. So it said, Flare Network Validator code is now live, publicly available. See the accompanying blog post you will not be able to read, but we have put it out there for your enjoyment. And let's see.
10-second video.
10-second video on nothing. The updated schedule, nothing happens.
That's great to hear. Oh, maybe there was audio.
Yeah, so Moon Lambo said, great to hear and congrats. Is all Flare going to be airdropped at once? I see a reference to the token distribution event and when it's scheduled to occur, but I know initially distribution was to take place over a span of years. I recognize I may have missed news on this, says Matt from Moon Lambo. Of course, Flare community, who is right on the pulse says initially 15% of Flare will be distributed. The remaining 85% will come after a decision has been made regarding that proposal. And we looked at this proposal to update the Flare token distribution, inflation rate, incentive pool structure, and also included in that is a way to get your Flare token if it's on an exchange that's not, or it was somewhere where it was not, they're not participating, like a Coinbase or let's say Celsius.
Well, yeah, well, Celsius was participating, but now what happens to your Flare token if it goes there?
Well, that's the whole thing, is that it wouldn't get
redirected. It
won't be distributed there. If they're not participating, they're not on board, it won't actually get released. This is part of what this it's a
major issue.
What I remember reading about in this
they should give people an opportunity to redirect it.
Well, that's what they do. That's what this proposal says.
Right. That's perfect. Redirect.
Right here. Proposal has been designed to preserve existing airdrop recipients' foundational place in the ecosystem, to put those coming fresh in the ecosystem on equal footing. If it's passed by the by the community, individuals no longer be relying on distributions on centralized platforms. If the level of staking on Flare is anywhere near industry average, those who delegate will receive more Flare tokens from the new proposal than the current system. So I actually think this probably will pass. And I like that they put it up for a vote, which is good, because remember, there's a little bit of misstep early in the process where, hey, we're going to do this because there's concern about the community. And
number four is the biggest concern to everybody.
Right on. Yeah. And some
the tax liability. That's a big issue. That's why they should do it all at once, and it really should have been launched with near zero value.
Well, but I'm not sure that can be controlled, but the proposal makes it possible to defer the tax event of realizing Flare while still receiving the remainder of the token distribution, allowing the better control of the timing of the tax liability, which is one of the earliest concerns that kind of came up. So that's just some of the benefits there. And then here's oh, wait a minute. That is what is this?
Morning, Alan.
I have both of them up there. What the heck? Let me see. What is the other? There it is.
Token distribution event.
Token distribution. Yeah, okay, so here we go. I don't know what's going on with this. Flare will launch in a beta where validation split between the professional infrastructure providers and the validators run by FITSO participants.
Ooh, between October 24th and November 6th.
That's when it's going to happen.
All right, Wahoo. There you go.
And there it is.
But the exact date is dependent on feedback from the exchanges. So if they could circumvent that, if they can get around these centralized exchanges, you obviously they can go back and match and say, okay, you met the snapshot, you had your XRP on this exchange. However, we are now going to give, if there's a mechanism to do that, to say, okay, you can now put it someplace else. It's going to be one interesting situation if it's going to go to a platform like Coinbase or Celsius, where at this point, if you have Flare coming to Celsius, you're not going to get it because they're not allowing any withdrawals, but it'll go there, it'll just sit. But if you can then redirect, would be much better.
Exactly.
But anyhow, Chip, this was awesome. I need to run.
There you go. Then why don't we get out of here then?
Let's do it. This was a great show, Chip. We covered a lot of great topic. Tomorrow night will be another great one. We have a lot more to cover. But as always, Chip, we have the best and the brightest from all of crypto YouTube that gather here with us, which is awesome. We have some of the best subscribers. We have some of the best that show up here for the live streams. We had 150 plus on this morning, watching, listening, commenting. We had people from all over the world. We're representing the entire globe here of crypto passionate, XRP passionate people. So it is outstanding. Chip?
There it is. Yeah, please like, subscribe, and click that notification bell, guys. We will see you tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. And that's all we have for you guys today. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy it. It's bound to be another super week, but we'll kick it off tomorrow night with our faithful following. So love you guys, and we will see you soon. That's all I have, Jeff. Anything? Let's get out of here.
Let's go.
Why can't I find the... Hang on a second. Sorry, Jeff. I was having some confusion on the keys. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.